Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hello, everyone.
By Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few pre-lined up topics we've got for you guys. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question that you'd like us to address or a topic, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news. This tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're not watching live and can't send in a question live for us to address today, maybe you're listening to our podcast feed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. By the way, I want to talk about some on Spotify in a second. Or maybe you're watching the show a little bit later on in the day when we're not live. You can still use that tip link and send in a question whenever you'd like. And if you don't send it in when we're live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. Also, guys, I got to bring this up because I forgot to bring this up. But I mentioned the other day that we got some interesting badges sent to us.
We don't need no stinking badges.
We don't need no badges. Sent to us by Spotify. Because, you know, the John Campea Show is not only on YouTube, we have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but also on Spotify, we put up the video show. The video of this goes on Spotify as well. Well, Spotify sent, I might have mentioned this the other day, but they sent us the badge. Spotify sent us this badge that the John Campea Show podcast is in the top 1%
We're
of
1%ers.
all video shows on Spotify. The top 1%. Top men on Spotify. So just a big, super big thank you to all of you guys who follow us on YouTube, yes, but also listen to our podcast and even watch our podcasts on Spotify. They also told us that they sent us another badge, said well over 5,000 of you guys had Spotify had the John Campea Show listed as their number one listened to podcast on Spotify the entire year. And over 15,000 people had it in their top 5 of the year.
Wow.
So big thank you to everybody for that.
Yeah.
We are always just floored by your support. So thank you guys so much for that. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into some stuff here, shall we? We're going to start off with this. You know, obviously it was with big splash that they announced that Robert Downey Jr., they did this at Comic-Con, Robert Downey Jr. was coming back into the MCU. Not that he ever really left. But this time he's going to play Dr. Doom. Boom. Then not long ago, just a few days ago, came the announcement that doesn't surprise a lot of us, but that Chris Evans was also going to be making, again, his triumphant re-entry into the MCU, bringing back the two most vital and important actors and characters and all that kind of stuff. The literally the heart and the soul, the face of the MCU, coming back into the MCU fold for the biggest pinnacle movies they have, Avengers. Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Well, in another announcement that shouldn't surprise a lot of us, I guess, is that it's also now been made official that Hayley Atwell, who plays, of course, Agent Carter, is coming back for Avengers Doomsday. Deadline wrote the following. They said, with Chris Evans likely reprising his Steve Rogers role in Marvel Studios' Avengers Doomsday, it looks like his former partner in crime will be joining him in the new Marvel movie. Sources tell Deadline that Hayley Atwell is expected to reprise her Agent Carter role in the film, which Anthony and Joe Russo are returning to direct and Marvel president Kevin Feige on board to produce. Marvel did not respond for a comment. Plot details are unknown at this time, and the film will bow in theaters on May 1st, 2026. So a little less than a year and a half away. All right. So first of all, I love Hayley Atwell, and I love her as this character. As a matter of fact, the Agent Carter show was like one of those exceptions to me. Like this is back when, what was it called? Agents
of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was a totally piece of garbage show. I know some of you guys totally like that show. If you did, awesome. I wanted to love it, but I thought it was terrible. But whatever. I really liked at least season 1 of Agents of Carter. Mm-hmm. Agents of Carter. Agent Carter. Hey, that's the new show, Agents of Carter. I really liked the first. I thought the first season was great. The second one wasn't a strong follow-up, the second season, but I thought season 1 was absolutely fantastic. Love this character. And if we understand at the end of Avengers Endgame that Steve goes back to return the stones and decides to stay there because he can finally have his life with Agent Carter.
Good choice.
Good choice.
No, I'm just saying.
Now, if, though, we're finding out that Steve is coming back, and remember, my theory was, when they announced he's coming back, I said, my theory is they're going to go back to get Steve, who had gone back to return the stones, and say, we need you. And it wouldn't be that big of a stretch to say, that's cool, but I'm not going without her. I'm not going to do all this again. I'm not going to live my life without her again. So, honey, you want to go? Hell yeah. Great. And then they both come out. So to me, it would make sense. Now, that's not to say that's how they're going to do it. It could be done a totally different way. Maybe this will be a dark, evil version of Agent Carter. I mean, I don't know.
I got a question.
Sure.
Which half of her is going?
That's cold, bro. That's cold.
That's...
But I guess the top half. Because there's going to be dialogue.
If you know, is all I'm saying. If you know. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
It's cold.
So she's coming back, going to play in the role. I like it. I do. I think it makes sense, and I like it. Also, let's not forget that they already said a while ago that when we get into Avengers like Doomsday and Secret Wars, now they might have been exaggerating, but still, they threw out the number of 70. They threw out the number of 70 characters. Now, again, that might have been an exaggeration just to emphasize that there's going to be an ass load of characters there. So it really shouldn't be a surprise that Agent Carter is going to be coming back in. And listen, maybe it's the what if version of her, right? The Captain Carter version.
Right.
I doubt that, but it's possible that they could be doing it. So, and listen, I think this is just the first few. The Robert Downey Jr., the Chris Evans, the Hayley Atwells. I think this is just the beginning for a long list of names that we're going to get that are all going to be coming back, because they're saying these are going to be the biggest ones they've ever done, these Avengers films. So we'll see how it kind of turns out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I think it makes total sense. I mean, if Steve is coming back, why wouldn't he bring Peggy with her? Or maybe they're going to be doing it a totally different way. Maybe it's going to be the Endgame version. Maybe it's going to be the what if version. Maybe it's going to be something else entirely. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? Now, Agatha all along, they announced that it was coming. I was personally excited by the news because I love Catherine Hahn, number one. I love her. She will always be her character in Parks and Rec to me. But I love her. And I thought she was great in WandaVision as Agatha. And I thought Agatha was a really interesting character. So when they announced that they were going to be doing an Agatha series, I was like the only guy around that liked the idea. Like I was actually really quite surprised how many people were kind of like pissing on it. I thought it was a good idea. Anyway, I didn't know how good the show would actually be, but the show came out and it was much better than I thought it would be. Like, I thought it could be good, but I thought it was actually really good. And it did one of those rare things of a show where every week the viewership went up and up and up and up and up. Unlike a number of other Disney Plus shows where week after week, I'm looking at you, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Acolyte, where every week the viewership went down and down and down. But they were sounding kind of insistent that this was going to be a limited series and they weren't going to do any more, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. But now, according to a new report, it looks like Agatha is indeed getting a season 2. And we're getting it from what has been a fairly reliable place to get this kind of information. Anyway, CBR writes the following, talking about in a headline written, Agatha All Along Season 2 getting an exciting update. It says this: after delivering one of their highest rated MCU shows to date on the platform, production plans have now been revealed for the next season of the popular Disney Plus Marvel series Agatha All Along. According to a new report from Production Bulletin, season 2 appears to be confirmed. Now remember, confirmed is a word that you shouldn't use unless the studio itself says it. I'm just going to say that anyway. Appears to be confirmed thanks to a newly released production information. This coincides with recent rumors that season 2 is very close to being greenlit. According to the new report, Agatha All Along, a spin-off of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's WandaVision series, is reportedly set to begin production on season 2 in the fall of 2025, nearly 1 year after the premiere of its first season on Disney+. This may surprise many fans as it comes after months of waiting for an official announcement from Marvel Studios following the final episode of the first season on October 30th. All right, so things like Production Weekly, production billings and all that kind of stuff, and production bulletin, I mean, are not necessarily scoop breaker things. Like, these are not places that break scoops, but they often, for the industry, list when things are going into production. And we have actually a number of times through the years picked up on things that have come from either Production Bulletin, Production Weekly, all that kind of stuff. And the vast majority of the time, not every time, but a vast majority of the time, it actually ends up being real and it ends up being true. So let's go with that for a second. Understanding that we got to take it with a grain of salt that Marvel itself, Catherine Hahn, nobody associated with the show has said this is official. So keep that in mind. But let's say it is, and they're going to be doing it. I love it. Listen, I really loved the first season. I don't think it was as good as WandaVision, but I thought it was one of the best things Marvel had done so far. I thought it was a very different change of pace for Marvel. I thought the way they started tying everything together at the end, as they started flashing back to all different things that were said and happened, you realized it's all tied together later on. I thought it was brilliantly put together. I loved Death. I thought, who was it that played Death again? Aubrey Plaza?
Yeah.
I thought Aubrey Plaza in this was great. I thought her and Catherine Hahn, a little Parks and Rec reunion. I thought her and Catherine Hahn's chemistry was wonderful. I wasn't big, listen, I got to admit, as somebody who liked the show a lot, I wasn't really big on ending with Ghost Agatha. I thought that was a little cheesy. To be honest with you, whatever. I love the ending overall, but the little ghost thing, so...
Did the ending leave, because I haven't finished that series, but did the ending leave you wanting more, or do you see it going anywhere from how they ended it?
Yeah, it did leave me wanting more, because it kind of ended with, you know, Wiccan and Ghost Agatha teaming up and saying, hey, let's team together and we're going to go out and find your brother, the other one that disappeared from WandaVision. And so it kind of set up a season 2 if they ever decided to do it, but they kept insisting it was still just going to be a limited series. Here's what I hope. I hope that if they do indeed end up doing this season 2, I hope the very first thing they do, like in episode 1, is Agatha gets her groove back and she gets a body. Because I don't know, maybe I'm not giving it a shot, but I don't want to see spectral Agatha, woo, like going, I want to see physical body, real Agatha. So hopefully they'll do that. And if they do, great. And then maybe they find her brother, maybe they don't, or Wiccan's brother at any rate. Maybe they don't. But again, I just think when you looked at the ratings of it, the fact of how popular it became, how it just, the ratings went up and up and up and up. I think it would be silly not to follow this up. I really do. It was received well critically. Obviously the audience turned out for it. Why not? I just hope if they do it, they approach it with a solid idea. The first one was great. Come at it with a solid idea and then kind of go from there. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? According to reports, they've kind of already got the wheels going on Agatha season 2. Did you enjoy the series? Not everybody did, and that's totally fair. I personally thought it was really quite good. Very different for Marvel. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. According to Sarah Michelle Gellar, married to Freddie Prinze, of course starred in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and was one of the voices in Star Wars Rebels, that her and her husband both did voices in that. Sarah Michelle Gellar has always said she was never going to return to Buffy. Like, that was a great chapter, but that chapter was closed. Well, now she's changing her tune. And Sarah Michelle Gellar's now saying she's open to the idea at coming back to play Buffy again. The Hollywood Reporter has this headline saying Sarah Michelle Gellar changed her mind She might be down for a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot. She said this during an interview on the Drew Barrymore show when asked about going back to play Buffy. And what she said makes a lot of sense. She said this: "It's funny in talking about maybe going back to play Buffy again. I always used to say no because it's in its bubble and it's so perfect," Gellar said. "But watching Sex and the City, the sequel series and Just Like That, and seeing Dexter, of course, having a revival, and realizing there are ways to do it definitely does get your mind thinking, well, maybe." Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys, okay? Just going to be totally honest, leave myself open here. Going to be emotionally vulnerable. I wasn't much of a Buffy guy.
Come on now.
I actually really liked Angel.
Hmm.
I'm one of the few
The
people
spin-off?
that the spinoff. I actually thought Angel was better than Buffy. So it is what it is, whatever. But I know most people kind of prefer Buffy, and it definitely did get started with, technically got started with the movie.
Right. That was a prequel, right? The movie?
No, the movie came out first.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it came out, and it took place before the series, right? She moved.
I don't know that they're all, see, here's the thing. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but I don't think it was like the movie and then the series was a continuation of the movie just with a new cast. I think the show was a totally new iteration.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. I'm not a Buffy-logian.
Yeah.
I may be a theologian, but I'm not a Buffy-logian.
Because I thought it when Buffy first started that it was she had just moved into the new school, and she had moved there because of trouble that she got into at the previous school. So but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
It's been a long time.
I know, but listen, what you can't take away is that Buffy's place in the pop cultural zeitgeist is like permanent and forever.
Sure.
Everybody knows, even if you've never seen it, everybody knows Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? Hugely popular. Now, even though I'm not a Buffy guy, returning to Buffy could actually be a really good idea. Because if you look at a lot of the, not reboots, but the relaunched fad that's going on, right?
Uh-huh.
Frasier's done very well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never hit the heights that it was in its original days, but it's got a solid viewership. And then, of course, the Sex and the City, its viewership, again, not as the same viewership that Sex and the City had in its heyday, but it's had very strong viewership numbers. Dexter, I mean, this new prequel series, what was it called? New Blood, First Blood,
Original
Old Blood?
Sin?
What's that?
Original
Sin, that's it. First Blood is Rambo.
She's a part of that series. Have you?
Yeah,
checked it out
and
yet?
she's in there.
Is she any good in there?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'll be honest, I don't even know if it started yet.
No.
I'm interested in it though. And then they're already saying that they're already planning on doing a sequel series with Michael returning as Dexter. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they'll figure out a way. Look, the point is that there's clearly been some success here. And I'm actually going to make a weird comparison. When New Kids on the Block got back together and went on a little tour, a lot of people thought, that those fuckers sold out everywhere. They sold out everywhere. Because a lot of these who were teenage girls at the time and now are mothers of teenage girls, they remembered their like they were ready for the right stuff. They were ready to go back. By the way, was that the right boy band that I just referenced?
It was New Kids on the Block, right? That you're talking about? Yeah.
I mean, they went back and they wanted to see them.
Uh-huh. Hanging tough.
Yeah, they were hanging tough. And they went out and it floods. Look, the point is, there's a lot of people out there who, if you take something from when they were younger and they remember really fondly, they'll be willing to go back out and check it out.
Yeah.
And go and see where they are now. And I listen, again, as somebody who's not a Buffy guy, wouldn't it be interesting to see, okay, where's Buffy now?
Mm-hmm.
20 years later, 30, I don't know, how long ago was Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I don't know if it was 20.
1998.
98?
Yeah, so-
I think.
Like over 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's Buffy now? Is she still slaying?
No, 97. Sorry, excuse me.
97.
Yeah, even older.
Did her and Angel get back together? Angel, who has now aged, but man, what's his name? David
Boreanaz?
Boreanaz?
Uh-huh. I'm not sure how vampires age.
He hasn't
but
aged
somehow
that
he
much
did.
though. Like even in 25 years, that dude has not aged that much. But again, maybe he could say he got his humanity and he started aging again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you can bring Spike back. Everybody likes Spike. Oh,
Good
the
old
bad boy.
Little Spike.
Everybody loves the bad boy. So they wanted to get Spike. I don't know. But listen, I think if Sarah Michelle Gellar, I know one thing though, from some of the comments she's made, I could tell you if they did do another Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you know who will not be a part of it?
Blade.
Well done, dude. Well done.
He's not a part of anything.
That was like
What is Blade a part of? Let's figure it out.
The timing, the timing, the tone. That was good.
You know, I'm starting to get on your guys' bandwagon right here.
I was going to say Joss Whedon will not be a part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, him too.
Because clearly, like, I mean, nobody ever knew this until a few years ago, but Sarah Michelle Gellar made some comment and said, yeah, Joss Whedon and I are not on talking terms.
Yeah.
So clearly not, and that's fine. But I mean, I think they should do it. I won't be watching it, but I think I honestly think a lot of people, if they did a relaunch of Buffy 25 years later, I guarantee you it'll get an audience.
Do you think Eliza Dushku will be back?
Ooh, what's she?
She
been
was like
doing
my
lately?
favorite. I
I
watch the
wonder
show,
why.
but I
I
always
wonder why she
Faith?
was your favorite.
Faith?
Why was Faith your favorite?
Because she was the brunette.
Yeah. I don't know. What has she been doing lately, though?
I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
I know she popped up in a few things. Anyway,
Yeah.
guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Sarah Michelle Gellar is saying that she's open to coming back as Buffy. And listen, as somebody who's not a Buffy guy, I think they should do it because I think it will get an audience. Now, if it sucks, it'll lose the audience, but I think they'll definitely have people coming out of the gate to check it out. I don't know. What do you think? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about a couple of other things, including the first poster and taste of the score of the new James Gunn Superman movie. And we found out officially when the first trailer is dropping. Also, Kraven the Hunter, sucky movie, but couldn't make any money. Answer, no. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. I'm wearing them right now. Our friends at The Perfect Gene. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Gene. All right, let's get real for a second. Khakis, stiff, uncomfortable, and a crime against humanity. That's why I am obsessed with The Perfect Gene. I'm wearing them right now, and let me tell you, they've changed the game. They have full stretch, no resistance, whether I'm sitting for hours, indulging in holiday feasts, or running errands, these jeans move with me. And the best part, I don't feel like I'm in a denim prison. They're stretchy, soft, and crazy comfortable. And these aren't just comfy lounge pants. They look sharp enough for dinner parties and family photos, and with 6 fits, waist sizes up to 50, and lengths up to 38, the Perfect Gene fits everyone. From short kings to tall legends, over 5,000 combinations to get your perfect fit. So what are you waiting for? Stop crushing your balls in stiff, boring jeans. Head to theperfectgene.nyc and use the code Campea15 for 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, returns, and exchanges. That's right, risk-free, folks. Once again, that's theperfectgene.nyc, code Campea15. F your khakis and upgrade to the Perfect Gene. Trust me, your legs and everything else will thank you. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Gene for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Ray just tried to pull one on us because every once in a while, like we're on a break, he goes, "Oh, there's breaking news," and this officer goes, "Oh my God, they just announced they're doing a Rhino movie."
Yeah, but this one's with Paul Giamatti.
Yes, the Paul Giamatti one.
Sony wants lower.
we think we can do lower. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Let's talk about this here thing first, though, shall we? All right, obviously, one of the most important movies coming out next year is Superman. It's important because it's not just important for a single movie. It's trying to launch an entire new cinematic universe. More than just the budget of one film is riding on this. Like, literally the future of a cinematic universe. of what could be the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 movies is kind of riding a bit on the success of Superman. They need it, not that it has to be a big blockbuster film. It doesn't need to be that, but it needs to be really good. And a lot of us have been waiting for some official stuff. We've been getting some images here and there, but now they've released the first poster and it looks amazing. Do you have the full poster there, Jonathan? I just have this one here.
I love it.
And with the little words, look up.
And I'm pretty sure it like has like a glimmer. You can't see it on a JPEG, but in person, I think it's going to have like a glimmer to it.
Yeah. And if you looked at it, if you saw it on Instagram first, the background was kind of moving and blurring. It looked like he was actually sailing through the thing. This is a gorgeous, beautiful poster. Now, a good poster doesn't mean squat as far as whether the movie will be good. This poster does not mean the movie will be good. Let's be clear about that. We're only talking about a poster. But the poster with the little words, look up. You know, the S stands for hope. And like this whole idea, just look
closer.
Up.
Yeah.
I love this poster.
Yeah.
It's got like great little overtones of the Christopher Reeve era Superman in there as well. It's just a stunningly beautiful first poster.
Oh, wait.
What?
His belt. Is he wearing? We can't see.
He's wearing that. You can see
he's got it.
We can't see if he has the drawers.
Oh, he does.
Oh, he does.
That's just
he's definitely wearing them. You could definitely see he's wearing the stupid red underwear. The one thing I don't like about this costume is that they went back to the stupid red underwear.
Well, if you look at them as outerwear, then it's not such a big deal.
It's outerwear.
I would win it with cargo shorts.
I would have gone with something baggy.
That cape looks long. If that trail right there is a part of his cape.
I think it blends into the Aurora.
Yeah,
which also,
I don't think it's his cape.
Which also is a callback to like the North Pole, or is it Antarctica? Where's his Fortress of Solitude is?
Yeah, up there.
So I think it has like that Aurora thing that's going on. It also it's a great color palette. It matches like
it's the
suit.
Superman color palette.
Gives motion, like he's just flying at supersonic speeds.
How do you guys feel about the collar on the?
Oh, with the like that lift?
I don't agree with it.
It's a new look to it. Like
well,
none of the previous,
actually, it's been around in other iterations.
Yeah. In Justice, that's where I got familiar with it. But from previous like Supermans, even on TV, they didn't have a collar, right?
Well,
from what I know,
I don't think not in movies or TV, but definitely in the comic books and whatever. There was a great, I think, was it Cinema Blend? I want to say it was Cinema Blend. It might have been one of the other outlets, but did this great article when the first image of the Superman costume came out, and they literally pointed out every comic where each element of this Superman's costume came from. Like this S came from this.
I do like that.
This style of the belt came from here. This style of the cape came from this comic, and this style. So it's kind of this amalgamation of different costumes that Superman has had over, which he's had over 20 different variations of the costume.
It looks great. It's like a mix between classic and modern.
I know it's still divisive amongst some people about whether they like the look of the costume. And again, if the costume looks good or bad has no bearing on whether the movie will be good or bad. But still, I know some people are still divided on whether the costume looks good, and that's fair. It's all a matter of taste. I really like the look of the costume personally. I think it's a great homage to the history of Superman, putting in all these different elements of the different costume variations through the years. So but here's the other part. When you go to it on Instagram, and you look at it, it's got the motion background. It's also playing a part, just a small part of the new Superman theme, Look Up. And you can tell it's just the opening of it.
Right.
But it feels cosmic. It feels almost angelic. It was wonderful. Now, I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the John Williams Superman theme and the Hans Zimmer Superman theme. Hans Zimmer's What Are You Going to Do When You're Not Saving the World from Henry Cavill's Superman plays at least 2 to 3 times a week in my get pumped for the show list when I'm in my shower. When I take my shower, at least 2 or 3 times in the week, I'm putting on Hans Zimmer's Superman's What Are You Going to Do When I'm Not Saving the World? I just love that. But this sounded awesome. It sounded really good. I cannot wait to hear the full thing. I think somebody told me it did drop. They dropped the whole thing online at some point.
Nice.
So I'm going to have to go check that out. But here's the biggest part. The biggest news isn't this gorgeous, beautiful poster. And it's not even the music that plays in the background. The biggest part of today's news was something we don't have yet. The first trailer is coming on Thursday. They made it official.
Wow.
6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 9 a.m. on the East Coast for those in New York and Toronto and on the East Coast. And wherever you are in the world, you can figure out the time. But 6 a.m. our time.
Wow.
You know what I don't do? I don't do trailer reactions. I might do one for the new trailer of Superman.
Should.
Because I'm going to say something here. This is the most important trailer of the year. I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad, but it's the most important trailer of the year. Again, because this is the movie that's got to start the healing process of getting people back on board with the DC characters on the big screen, because the DCEU lost everybody.
I'm just in awe at how swiftly this movie came together. It felt like yesterday we were just talking about them beginning the shoots, and then we had those fake photos that surfaced of him in like the AI generated photos.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
And now we're here. We're here with the first official poster, and then on Thursday, trailer. Come on, get your act together, Blade. Let's go. No,
Blade.
I'm just having a Monday right now, so like
Blade
come on,
Monday apparently.
Let's get it together. If they could do a tentpole character like Superman in that amount of months, Blade, get your act together. Let's do this. Already.
Here's something else.
It's just
they
difficult,
announced the Superman movie 3 years after they announced the Blade movie, and here we are getting ready to have Superman come out in a few months. So I just put it there. But let's get back to the trailer.
We're gonna have a freaking Clayface before Blade.
We're gonna have Clayface. We're going
Yeah.
to have a Clayface movie before we have Blade.
Yep.
Anyway, getting back to the Superman trailer. Again, I do really believe, and with no hyperbole intended, I think this is the most important trailer, because like we were saying about the movie itself, this is not just an individual movie. This is a movie that's meant to launch a cinematic universe. Something that they can hopefully run for the next 10 to 20 years, 2 decades. That'll spawn 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 films. And it's all going to be predicated on whether or not this movie goes over with the audience. Again, it doesn't need to make a lot of money. It doesn't. They don't really care all that much if Superman makes a lot of money. They just need Superman to be great and have the audience go, wow, is this what the new DC is going to be? That's what they got to do. And a good poster won't make a good movie. A good trailer won't make a good movie, but it'll go a long way in getting people's attention. That's why I'm saying this Superman, even though it's probably just going to be a teaser, this Superman trailer coming out on Thursday is the most important one of the year out of any movie. No other trailer that's come out this year has had as much riding on it as this trailer does. Because I'll tell you what, if this trailer sucks, what happened to Transformers 1 when they put out a bad first trailer? It killed any enthusiasm for the movie, and they were never able to recover, even though that's a great movie. Transformers 1 is great, but they lost everybody right away. They put out that first trailer, and all anybody talked about was, well, that movie's going to suck. That movie's going to suck. The trailer sucks. Trailer sucks. And I remember I kept trying to tell people, guys, I know the trailer didn't look good, but believe me, they showed us a bunch at CinemaCon, and the movie's going to be good, but it didn't matter. If this trailer's bad, I don't know that they recover.
An important aspect too, maybe the trailer gives us a sense of the theme of what James Gunn is going for, whether it's going to be a more lighthearted movie, Superman, or do we go Zack Snyderish or whatever?
Well, we know James Gunn won't go Zack Snyderish,
Yeah, we could tell from the poster, just the colors on it.
Yeah, but even as a first trailer, I don't expect it to give us much other than what you're talking about, tone. I don't expect even much dialogue in the first trailer. I expect it to just kind of be more of an announcement and give us a sense of the feel. Then when the next trailer comes out, or trailer number 3, they can start giving us story points, but it'll be pretty light, I think.
So you don't think we're going to get a glimpse of Nicholas Hoult?
I absolutely think we'll get a glimpse of Nicholas Hoult.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
100%. Because like I said, they're going to establish tone. So I think we're going to get a look at our new Lois Lane, the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. We're going to get obviously a good look at Superman. I absolutely think they're going to give us Nicholas Hoult.
Evil Hoult.
Evil Hoult.
He looks like he's going to be a great. I mean,
I think he'll be a marvelous Lex
because
Luthor.
even when he plays a good guy on like he got those eyes that I'm like, he's going to stab you in the back.
Watch the order. It just came out with Jude.
Yeah, just go see him as a bad guy in there. But also, I think we're going to get a quick glimpse of the new Hawk Girl. I think we're going to get a quick
that's
glimpse of
right.
Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner Green Lantern.
Ooh, all of that, huh?
See, because, James Gunn was just he just gave a comment, and I'm going to see if I can find the comment here. I don't think I have it in front of me. No, I don't. But James Gunn basically put out a comment recently. He says, this is a different world, okay? This is a world where superheroes have already been here for a while.
Oh, okay.
And so the history of this world is going to be a little bit different than the history of our world because we've had superheroes around. And I think since he's saying that, I think it would make sense in the first trailer to give us just a quick, even half a second glimpse of a bunch of different superheroes. So I think they're going to give us Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner, and I think the Frank Grillo character from Flag's dad. I think we're going to get glimpses of all these characters, and maybe not a lot of dialogue, but I think a lot of looks.
Are we assuming Lex is the main villain in this, or do you think we'll see who the main villain is in the upcoming trailer?
I mean,
like whoever.
Listen, one of the mistake they got to learn from Brandon Routh's Superman Returns, which is a movie that I still contend was a good movie that was a bad comic book movie. It's a good movie that's a bad comic book movie, where Superman, the greatest of the superheroes, fought a mountain, fought a plane falling from the sky. I mean, you literally didn't have Superman fighting anybody. And so because of that, I think James Gunn is going to be very aware of the fact that we have Lex Luthor and maybe he's the main guy behind everything. But there's going to, now whether that foil is going to be Brainiac, whether that foil is going to be a Solomon Grundy, whether that foil is going to be, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways they can go. But you're going to have something there that Superman physically has conflict with. And that's got to be more than Lex Luthor. I mean, you could say, well, John, on the Superman and Lois TV show and in the comic books, Luthor gets this battle armor. I think that's something that comes maybe later. Maybe in movie 3 or 4, Lex gets his battle armor. So I think he's going to have something else that's his main problem right in front of him.
And James Gunn's vision of Metropolis too. I don't know if the city's going to be as alive as Gotham in Matt Reeves' series, but it would be great.
Well, and Metropolis is a very different city. It's
Right,
it's like the yin and the yang, Gotham and Metropolis, like the two polar opposites, right? So he's going to have to make that city come alive. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they do it. All I know is that Thursday can't get here fast enough for me. This is a good week for me, man.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow I get to watch the next episode of Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which I'm so stoked about. And Thursday, not only do I get to see Sonic 3 and Mufasa on Thursday, I'm going to start the day by watching the new Superman trailer. I can't even believe we're saying the words. Thursday, we're watching the new Superman trailer.
Yeah, me too.
Listen, I still think it's a mistake to launch the first trailer this soon.
Now, did they say it's a actual full-length trailer?
No,
or is
we
it
don't know if it's going to be a teaser, if it's going to be a 30-minute teaser, or 30-minute teaser, a 30-second teaser, a 2.5-minute full-long trailer. I don't think they've actually let us know yet.
First 8 minutes.
Yeah, the first 8 minutes of the
They already
film.
don't believe in it.
I still don't think this is the right time to release. I think this is a mistake. I don't think they should be putting out the first trailer yet.
Really?
I honestly think they should be saving the first trailer, come out guns blazing at the Super Bowl. I really think the first trailer should be Super Bowl.
Who's to say that's not going to happen? Like
It's
they're
not going to
have
happen.
a
We're
full
getting
trailer.
the first trailer, but it's not the first trailer,
Right.
I wouldn't doubt that we get a trailer at the Super Bowl. Maybe a trailer 2, maybe a trailer 3, but I think they should just come out of the gate at the Super Bowl. But that's just because the movie right now, when's it coming? July? January, February, March, April, May, June. The movie's still 7 months away.
You do want
we don't really need a trailer now, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
and I want the rumblings.
And I also felt like beyond Super Bowl that there would have been a final trailer for Comic-Con. So I don't know.
Well,
but that's pretty close. It's a month off.
Yeah, I think
so.
I mean, listen, they're definitely going to do something big at Comic-Con. I still believe they're going to show us the movie at CinemaCon. I'm believing more and more they're going to show. I think Marvel is going to show us Thunderbolts, and I think DC will show us Superman. I really do. No,
Well,
nobody's told me that. I'm just really think they're going to do that
Wait.
for us. So we'll see.
With all the studios there, it won't be hard to imagine that all of them are going to compete to have the
Yep.
best show.
Complete to have the best show, to make the biggest splash with the exhibitors. It's going to be big. And James Gunn, I remember at April CinemaCon, James Gunn wasn't there personally because he was hard at work, but he gave a video message, says, I'll be there next year and I'll be bringing stuff. So I think we're going to get so much stuff at CinemaCon this year. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of this new Superman trailer? I think
poster.
it is absolute. What's that?
It's poster.
Oh, sorry, it's a poster.
Sorry,
Thank you.
John,
We've been
sorry.
talking about the trailer. What do you think of this new Superman poster? I mean, it's just a poster. It doesn't mean the movie's going to be good, but my God, I think this is bring it up again if you've got it. This is a absolutely, here, we'll bring up mine here.
Yeah.
This is an absolutely gorgeous poster, and the little look upwards in it. It's just so beautiful. I cannot wait for this trailer. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Kraven the Hunter.
Woo!
Was a movie that I foolishly had some faith in and belief in. And while I understood like how bad Madam Web was and how bad Morbius was, hey, listen, you had J.C. Chandor directing this, who's a solid director. You had a solid writer writing the script, unlike Morbius and Madam Web. And I was like, and you have Aaron Taylor Johnson, also known as Ricky Tiki Taki,
Yep.
who I thought was a great casting for it. And I had belief. Oh, how wrong I was for over a year. Saying, no, man, I think you guys, I think there's a chance this movie could be pretty good. No, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Non-hyperbole. I think it's a top 10 worst Hollywood studio produced film ever. I think it's that bad. And I was like so angry about it. But would people go out to see it? The answer to that is no. Nobody went to go see it, as it set a new record
Woo!
for the lowest, well done, Kraven, for the
Let's go! Game day!
for the lowest opening weekend total of any of the DC, Marvel, or Sony verse superhero movies of all time. Out of the DCU, DCEU, the MCU, and the Sonyverse stuff, the lowest opening box office, as Deadline is reporting, it opened to $11 million. You guys might remember just a couple of weeks ago.
11.
The projections were 20 to 25 million.
Oh, those were the days of wine and roses.
And which was already really bad. And then last week, before the movie opened, the opening weekend projections dropped down to 15, which we were like, oh my God, that's a complete disaster. It didn't even make that. Now, I want to put that in perspective for you guys. Let's look at the worst opening weekends of the three major studio superhero cinematic universes, shall we?
All right.
In Marvel, the fifth lowest opening weekend they had was Captain America, the First Avenger. This is when Marvel was just really building the superhero genre into being the dominant genre at the box office. This was at the very beginning stages. Captain America, the First Avenger made $65 million. The first Thor, again, in that same just starting stages of building the genre, Thor also made $65 million. The first Ant-Man had an opening weekend of $57 million, down to the Incredible Hulk that had a $55 million opening weekend. But the lowest opening weekend ever for the Marvel Cinematic Universe was The Marvels.
Phew, yuck.
That still
So low.
made $47 million on its opening weekend.
Nothing could be lower than that, right?
You'd think. Well, let's go over to DC. DC's bottom five.
Okay.
Shazam 2 opened to $30 million. Aquaman 2 opened to $27 million. James Gunn, The Suicide Squad, opened to 26. The Blue Beetle opened to 25.
All right.
And Wonder Woman 2 opened to 16.
Right.
Now, there's a little asterisk to put there with Wonder Woman 2,
Sure.
like with the pandemic and
And then
day
it's
and date.
sucking.
What's that?
And then
It's sucking
I
also.
fell asleep twice to that. The first two showings.
And we were watching it at home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was day and date it was streaming and in theaters at the same time and during the pandemic and all. So whatever, but still 16 million. And by the way, I like a number of these movies. Actually, I think except Wonder Woman 2, I like every single one of the movies. Some more than others, but so that's the lowest in the DC. Well, now we go over to Sony. Their fifth lowest grossing film of their little cinematic Spider-Man universe was Venom 3 that opened to 51 million.
Start strong.
Morbius next was number 4.
Hope. There was hope there.
There was some hope there. I love the trailers for Morbius. I can't believe that movie turned out to be that bad. Anyway, it made 39 million on its opening weekend. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse opened with $35 million.
What a shame.
But it went on to do pretty well.
Yeah, but what a shame.
Madam frickin' Web opened to $15 million.
Right in the sweet spot.
And Kraven now sets the all-time record low
record.
You just made the list.
$11 million.
Look, John,
You go ahead.
No, I was gonna put this in perspective. The 11 million. You know what that paid for? Well, I'm reading up, and it cost $3,000 to $3,500 to rent a lion for 4 hours. So, as considering that was a
adds
real
up.
lion,
They
that
paid for it. They covered the expenses of the lion.
Yeah,
the
if that
fake
was a real
CGI lion.
Yeah, it wasn't, because that thing was a thick boy.
Okay, well then, who knows where that money went?
They almost made back the budget just for CGIing the lion.
They covered catering.
In a movie with Aaron Taylor Johnson that they came out and boasted because everybody said make it R and everybody go see it if you make it R. Oh, comic book movie should be rated R. Okay, they came out and said, hey, this is gonna be rated R. This is gonna be hardcore violent. I thought the trailers were decent.
It had a John Wick feel.
It had a John Wick feel.
Yeah, for a while I was like, I'm kind of like drinking the Kool-Aid here. I think this might be good.
And it ended up, now I'm sure word of mouth had something to do with it, but still, they ended up making the lowest amount of all them ever since the superhero genre really began. Like this era of the superhero genre at the end, the lowest grossing of any of the major studios, $11 million. And now it's clear. It's funny because it's coming off the heels of Venom 3, which I didn't personally like.
Yeah.
But a bunch of people did. Like every time we talk about Venom 3, I have a lot of our viewers writing and saying, I actually kind of liked Venom 3. That's fine. That movie made almost $500 million. Venom 3 made almost $500 million. And coming off the heels of that, Kraven. So it's clear that even in the audience's perception, the audience sees a separation between Venom movies and the Sony Spider-Verse movies.
I do.
Because they looked at Kraven and they didn't associate it with Venom. They associated it with Madam Web and Morbius.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And man, it is hard to conceive about all the things you need to do wrong for a movie to only open to $11 million. Like, this movie's going to lose $200 million.
The Spider-Man No Way Home re-release made half of that, I think, 5 million.
Yeah,
So-
they took an old movie, just dropped it in theaters, and it still made half that. I mean, they literally took a 10-year-old movie
Interstellar.
with Interstellar, a 10-year-old movie that's available to stream, dropped it in theaters, and that made as much money as Kraven.
And it's still buzzing because there's people like my oldest daughter wants to see it a second time. And there's other people like
With Interstellar, you mean?
Huh?
Interstellar or Kraven?
Yeah, Interstellar.
Interstellar, yeah.
Yeah, a
Your
second
daughter does
time.
not want to see Kraven a second
No,
time.
never. Not even a first time.
Nobody should ever watch Kraven a second time. It's bad enough that you watch it the first time. All film is subjective. If you like Kraven, that's awesome. I'm just joking around here, but I mean, I think it's a truly piece of garbage movie. It's so bad.
Wow. See,
I mean, it's
does Sony believe in scrapping movies?
they really should have. They listen. This is again another example, because I can't remember which movie we were talking about just recently about this, but this is a movie that is another example of Warner Brothers had it right when they pulled the plug on Batgirl, because as bad of a state that the Sony Spider-Verse is in with the results of Morbius and Madam Web, they've only made it worse now with Kraven. It is absolutely a situation where they should have followed the lead. Like, there's no excuse. No executive sat in any screening room when they were looking at this film and putting together their marketing strategy, not one executive in the world sat down and thought audiences are going to love this. Nobody was dumb enough to think that.
Battlefield Earth made more during opening
In
week.
its opening weekend. And by the way, it is one of the lowest scoring cinema score. That cinema score is the one that actually canvasses audiences
Right.
as they're coming out of the theaters. It got a C cinema score.
Oof.
Not many superhero movies score that low. That's a special kind of area. And yeah, man, it's whew.
It makes me so sad. I'm looking at the list of worst openings for films, and there's Kraven, but right above it is Paddington 2. How could you? Come on.
Paddington 2 so good.
Yeah.
I mean, in the words of Vader, their failure is now complete. $11 million.
That's Horizon and American Saga, Chapter 1 numbers. Right there.
Really?
Yeah. Opening for Horizon was
That's right.
11,052,000.
And so the congratulations, Kraven. You got up there with a totally failed Western.
Sorry.
Only at least Horizon was better. Horizon was better. Listen, so I kept a lot of people have written to me this weekend and said, John, in all your talks about Kraven and all that kind of stuff, you never actually told us whether you thought it was better or worse than Morbius and Madam Web. Oh, and you know, I went back and I was like, you're right, I didn't. It's worse. I will rewatch today Madam Web before I will watch Kraven.
You
again.
did say it was better than Madam Web, but I don't remember you saying anything about Morbius.
Yeah.
It's definitely worse than Morbius.
I will say this. There's a movie that beat it by 300 million or 300,000, and that's Balls of Fury. If you guys haven't seen Balls of Fury,
Balls of Fury made more money
watch
opening
it.
weekend than this?
11,350,000
Wait a minute, total or opening weekend?
opening. 11 million.
Balls of Fury made more money than
Yep.
Kraven on opening weekend.
Yep, 11,352,000. If you guys haven't seen Balls of Fury, if it's not too old, go watch it. I find that movie so hilarious. It's just so funny to me.
Yeah, 11.
It's not quite
million
like Dodgeball,
dollars.
but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Oh, but Dodgeball is
Dodgeball is a classic.
Dodgeball is awesome. Kraven, $11 million.
Well, let's hope this is it. Let's hope this is the last one Sony is doing of these spin-offs.
No, I want them to do more.
You do.
I do. You know why I want them to do more? Because I've seen they have the potential to make good ones.
Maybe put more care into it.
You and I both love Venom.
Oh yeah, the
Like
first
we
one.
love the first Venom.
The second one's okay.
What they've done with the Spider-Verse stuff, with Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, those are, I have no problem saying, the two best Spider-Man movies ever made. The part of the thing that makes me so upset, like if I put a fourth grader at the 3-point line in a basketball court and they miss the shot, I'm not going to be disappointed. I don't expect a fourth grader to be able to do that. If I didn't think Sony has shown the potential that they can do great stuff with the Spider-Verse stuff, then I wouldn't be so upset about it. But it just really pisses me off when I've seen them do some good, entertaining stuff in this spider area, and then they crap the bed so hard. So I want them to make more. I just want them to not suck.
They have to make
Just
more to keep
be
that license.
Good. And they
Yeah.
have to make more to continue holding the line. They don't have to make more for a while because they've got Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah.
They've got Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, and they got Spider-Man 4 all coming. So
They can
they've got
hopefully
they got
reach-
a number of years before
Yeah.
they have to make another one. But they will make more. I just hope just make it good. And I understand making a movie that's good is hard. It's really hard. But it's not hard. It's not hard to make something better than Kraven.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
You honestly, in my opinion, you almost have to try to make it as bad as Kraven. Like
Yeah.
there is some serious, like, not effort, but lack of effort across the board. Where everyone's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But their battle too is not only making a good movie, it's actually getting people to care about these characters
Well,
that
now-
the
And
general public don't
But
know.
step one of that is
Yeah.
making good movies.
Right.
You know who else the audience never heard of? Audience had never heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
But you know what? Audiences loved them. They were great. And so people came out in droves more. And it was a part of a Marvel Cinematic Universe that had already started the process of building a reputation of having quality, fun, entertaining movies that the audience love. So that's what Sony's got to do. They've got to lay that, they got to do what James Gunn is trying to do with Superman. Lay a groundwork of high quality. Listen, if Kraven was a great movie and it made $11 million, I would say the Sony exec shouldn't lose any sleep because it being so good will help the next movie. So that's fine. But being one of the worst cinematic pieces of garbage I've ever seen, combined with the fact that everybody's caught on and only made $11 million, a record low for the genre, at least in this era. I mean, that's a come to Jesus kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're at Sony right now, you got to look in the fucking mirror and go, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, we got to just crank out these things to keep the rights to Spider-Man because we're making tons of money on the Marvel
Right.
side. Granted, but you can make more money. There's money to be made here. Venom has shown it. So I just hope they learn from this. I really do.
That's the one thing we talked about last week is that their revenue is still actually their profit is higher even with these losses. But my point last week was that the well is going to run dry. Eventually, Tom Holland is not going to continue being Spider-Man. And once that well is run dry and you don't have Venom and you don't have the Spider-Verse cartoons, you really got to get the ball running. Otherwise, you are going to be in a financial issue.
Well,
yeah, I mean, they definitely will. 100% they will.
how do you think this will affect the Mufasa box office? You think it'll be negative? You know, people are getting lion fatigue.
Like, where are you going with this? Well, people
This was a
get
prequel,
lion
right?
fatigue.
Was this a prequel?
That's the lion.
That's it. I'm over these
Kraven.
lions. You know what? Screw that Voltron movie too.
Lion is
I'm
my
so
favorite
tired of these
animal.
lions.
Come on.
I'm so tired of these lions. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? New record, baby.
New record.
Record low. $11 million for Kraven the Hunter. And listen, I hate saying because I want to see every movie succeed. I really do. Even movies I don't like, I want to see them succeed. But it's hard to cheer for a movie that clearly nobody at the studio cared if it was any good or not.
Yeah. They're like, we're just doing this for
terrible
license.
movies. There are a lot of terrible movies that I know they gave their best because making a good movie is hard. But I watch Kraven, I'm like, they didn't even care if this movie was
No.
good. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson was the only guy over there who cared if that movie was any good because he tried. You could clearly tell that he tried. But, and guys, whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to the important stuff here, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, and we'll think about the other Lion movies that are now screwed because of Kraven, we're going to take another second and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. You'll probably need them after you go see Kraven, the good folks over at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Guys, we all know November's all about gratitude. And along with those we appreciate, let's not forget to thank ourselves. In a world as busy as ours, just making it through each day can be an accomplishment. One important way to show yourself some appreciation is by investing in your mental health. And that's where therapy can really make a difference. Therapy isn't just for those in crisis. It's for anyone wanting to learn better coping skills, set healthy boundaries, and work towards being their best selves. You often heard me talk about that it's great that we prioritize our physical health, but it's time that we also prioritize our mental health. Let's start encouraging ourselves and others to take steps to improve our mental health as well. So if you've ever thought about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, super flexible, and fits right into your schedule. You just fill out a quick questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists anytime at no extra charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to the good folks at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over and see what you have to say about all this stuff, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Garden Variety says, saw the new trailer for Star Trek Section 51 with the immortal Michelle Yeoh. The movie could be current for 30 years ago. You'd never know without any CGI.
I got to listen. First of all, I really like her character. One of the best things about Star Trek Discovery, that was the name of the show,
I think
right?
so, yeah.
One of the best things about that show, because it was hit and miss. There are certainly things about it I like, certain things that I didn't, but her character, Emperor, especially the Emperor Giorgio part of her character, was great. I love that part. How that'll transition into like a section, I don't know, but I like the trailer. And we'll see if the show's a good one or a bad one. We'll find out. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to What's the name of the new Star Trek show? Star Trek.
Not Lower Decks. Or
No, no man's no.
isn't it Brave New World? Or not Brave New World.
It's
Damn it.
What's the name of the new show?
It's Strange New World.
Strange New World. Yeah, Strange New Worlds, which damn, it is the best Star Trek show since Next Generation. I mean, I think Strange New World is awesome. So hopefully the new show will be more like that, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
They just confirmed the zombie in the 28 Years Later trailer is not Murphy. This may be a misdirect, but I believe them. Maybe a small spoiler, but they're filming part 2, and he's been seen and caught on camera on set doing a lot of filming for it. I never really believed that was him.
No, I didn't know, but it definitely, you can't deny it looked like him, right? Like when it came, like I didn't even think about that till the person who wrote in and mentioned it. And I was like, oh my God, it does look like him. So is that really what they're going to be doing with the Academy Award winner? But we'll see. All I know is trailer looks great. Can't believe they shot the whole thing on an iPhone with like $5 million worth of other equipment, but still shot it on an iPhone. And it's got Kraven in it. He looks like Kraven. It's still got Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think it looks great. I can't wait to watch it. And I'm glad they're already shooting the sequel. All right, what's next?
AMC Naughty Lister is a 3-parter. Hi, John. Every time you praise AMC A-List and Regal Unlimited, I feel envious and get frustrated. My only nearby AMC and Regal has fewer than 10 screens, no premium options, and no non-blockbuster films. It's been updated in hasn't been updated in 13 years with dim projectors, broken seats, understaffed service. While there are many local theaters, 3 within 10 minutes, none offer loyalty programs, and premium formats often cost over $75 for 2 with drinks and snacks. A friend who moved back from a major city had to cancel A-List because it wasn't worth it here. I wish I could see more in the theaters, but the cost of the experience has become prohibitive.
Well, first step I would say about the cost being prohibitive. Even if 2 movie tickets, if you go to a premium thing and 2 movie tickets cost you $40, don't spend $35 at the concession stand. I don't spend $35 at the concession stand.
Yeah.
And I always spend money at the concession stand, and I never spend that much. Okay. That aside, that's a choice. The good news is that both Regal and AMC, and I believe Cinemark, have recently announced a program where they're going to be updating a lot of theaters, and it was in the billions of dollars, I think. But they're going to be spending a lot of money over the next 2 years upgrading a lot of theaters. AMC theaters, as a matter of fact, they started upgrading a lot of the. I remember the AMC 6 and the AMC 8 right by the AMC 16 in Burbank.
I still go to both of them.
Yeah, the AMC Burbank 16, which was in the top 3 most busy movie theaters in the world. But less than a 10-minute walk, not drive, walk from the AMC 16 was 2 other AMC theaters, the 8 and the 6. And they were grim.
Yeah.
They were garbage.
Now that 8 I love.
Now they're luxurious. They're awesome. They're going through and upgrading a lot of their theaters. So hopefully soon those theaters will be upgraded and it'll become worth the drive. Hopefully. And then you can take advantage of AMC A-List. Or Regal Unlimited, whichever one is closer to you. All right, what's next?
$20 tip from Ricky Tiffy Taffy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that, dude.
The Thanos in Endgame was a different timeline. Do you think the Tony variant Doctor Doom could be from there? A timeline without Thanos would change a ton. Possibly no Avengers assembling. When you mess with time, it tends to mess back. Thanks, Bring on the Filthy.
The Thanos from Endgame was from...
Yeah, that was... They went back in time, but it was still the same timeline.
Sorry, I was thinking the end of Infinity War when he's sitting there on the grassy... Okay, yeah. So, from the same universe... But by the way, one of the big mistakes Marvel has done, side note, one of the big mistakes Marvel has made since Endgame is they've had 4 or 5 different and contradictory explanations for multiverse. Like whether you're watching an explanation made in Doctor Strange or an explanation made in the Marvels or an explanation made in something like Shang-Chi, like they've had all these wild different variations. You know why? Because it doesn't matter, because it's multiverse, so you don't have to have any rules. Anyway, that aside. I fully, 100% that the Doctor Doom we're going to be getting is not the Doctor Doom from Marvel, what we would call 616. It's not coming from the Marvel sacred timeline. It's not coming from the Marvel verse that we know. It's going to be coming from some other alternate universe, where that Tony Stark grew up very different and became something very different. Maybe his Stark was never his name. Again, I have this theory that I'll share again. Again, it's just a theory. Nobody said anything. There's nothing to back this up with. It's just a fan theory. I have this theory that, like, we're going to find out that our Tony Stark, that, like many, many, many families, didn't originate in America. Their family came from another country. And like many families that came over from other countries, when they arrived in America, a lot of families changed their names to kind of fit in more with the new culture. Like on a smaller note, when my grandfather came over on the boat from Italy, he started going by John, even though his real name is Giovanni. He started going, like, just things to mix in, right? We see that with, like, I play a lot of poker. A lot of our, like, when I'm at a poker table and we often have like an Asian dealer or something like that, a lot of times the Asian dealer will have a North American name.
Right.
But then they'll tell us as we're talking and hanging out, they'll tell us, well, my actual name is this, but people just, it's easier for them to call me Peter, right? So what if we find out our Tony Stark's family line, that 3 generations back, the Stark family actually was called the Von Doom family. And they came over from this European country, now known as Latveria. But his great-great-great-grandfather came over to America. They changed their name to Stark. They had their life here. But what if in another parallel universe, the great-great-great-grandfather decided to stay in Latveria and the family never changed its name from Von Doom? And the kid who in our timeline is born as Tony Stark is rather born as Victor in this other universe, but still brilliant, still whatever. And he becomes, in his universe, instead of becoming Iron Man in ours, he becomes Dr. Doom in his. I think that's the way they're going to go. That's my theory, but we'll see. I mean, I like the idea of it.
I keep batting around the idea of, and this isn't to bring Thanos back in it, but you could do it as like, in our world, this is what happened in our history. What if in his world, he does become like this terrible dictator. He enslaves the globe, but he also single-handedly defeated Thanos.
I mean, yeah, listen, remember we've been talking about how in Infinity War, they brought in Thanos and immediately had him fight Hulk to represent just how big and bad he was. What if this thing starts? What if Avengers Doomsday starts with Earth 722? And you literally see Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, but instead of fighting the Avengers, he's fighting Dr. Doom.
Right.
And single-handedly, Dr. Doom beats Thanos.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good way to set him up.
And he's the hero in his own story, but he also enslaved the world, right? So it's like,
All right, what's next?
Dakota says, "Hi, John. Love the show. Watch you guys every day. Did you happen to watch Carry On on Netflix this weekend? Not the best picture, but I thought it was a great middle-class movie, and I loved it. Any chance we get a review? Should have been released in theaters."
So it's funny because Ann and I just yesterday were talking about the movie, and she wants to wait until Christmas to watch it. And I'm like, baby, why do you want to wait till Christmas? Well, it's a Christmas movie. I'm like, it is? She goes, well, it happens during Christmas time. I'm like, okay. So no, I haven't watched it yet because Ann wants to watch it over Christmas.
Well,
so that's when we're going to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the same logic with,
but
it happens over Christmas with Die Hard, but it's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's not a Christmas movie, but it's a movie that happens at Christmas.
Yeah.
But it's got Taron Egerton in it. It's got Jason Bateman in it.
Right.
I mean, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to checking it out, but I haven't seen it yet. Won't watch it till about Christmas.
There you go.
All right, what's next?
Your Orlando Informer says, "I know you watch a lot of shows and you may not get around to this one, but at least try." Oh, we already read this one, and he said he mentioned that came through by accident.
Okay.
But Your Orlando Informer also says, "Please forgive my last question. I may have sent that in again from the other day. I just noticed that Squid Game Season 2 is coming on December 26th.
Oh, is that when it's dropping?
That's soon. Okay, but no one is talking about it. You think it's because it's been 3 years?
I don't know that it's because it's been 3 years. I just don't think they've marketed it much. Like, for instance, I'm aware Season 2 is coming. I didn't know it was dropping December 26th. Again, Netflix is the absolute... I love Netflix. I do. I've been a Netflix subscriber longer than you. I really do like Netflix. They do a lot of stuff great. One of the things, they make several bad moves, and one of the big things that they do worse than anybody else is promoting their own stuff. They're terrible at it.
No,
I
but
didn't
John,
even
they
know it was
got
coming to December 26th.
they got that banner, bro. The banner is
Oh
better
yeah,
than
we got the
anything.
banner. Everybody, yeah. So I didn't know. I don't know that season 2 will be as big as season 1. I don't know that they're going to be able to recapture that lightning in the bottle. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to watching it. I am. It just looks like season 1 over again. No, John, you don't get it this time. Okay, I get that, but it's still the same thing, right? So
I'm guessing he escapes out of that world because see, this is my thing is I feel like with Hunger Games, the second one, I was like, well, this is Hunger Games all over again. But no, she gets out and then she's fighting, the government. So maybe it'll
this
be
one
something like
he
that.
purposely goes back in, right? So it'll be look. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't think it'll be as big as season 1, but I still think it's going to be very, very, very big.
I cannot wait for the actual Squid Game, the challenge.
Oh,
second season.
the game.
I still can't believe. I thought that was such a dumb idea. And then Ann and I got hooked on it. I actually like Squid Game, the challenge, more than I like Squid Game.
Just the
'Cause it was real.
backstabbery and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It's just crazy.
All right, what's next?
All right, Eddie Burton says, it's insane to me that every Sony Villainverse film they've released this year, plus Joker 2, made it into my top 10 worst movies of the year list. Got me curious. Best to worst, in your opinion, John, between Joker 2, Kraven, Madam Web, and Venom 3. Kraven's probably your number 1 worst.
Kraven is the worst. Yeah, I'll watch Joker 2 1,000 times before I'll watch Kraven again.
Let's
I
keep
hadn't
it
really
out.
thought about. Okay, look, I'll give an order right now, but don't hold me to it because I haven't really thought about it. So when I do my top 10 worst films of the year list,
Oh,
don't go,
right.
well, John, you put this above that, but 2 months ago you said this was over that, and how are you not going to, so don't hold me to it, okay? Off the top of my head, without really thinking about it too much, the very worst was Kraven. Second worst, Madam Web. Third worst, Joker 2. And what else was it?
Morbius.
When did Morbius come out? Morbius didn't come out in
Oh,
2020.
no, Venom 3. So it was Joker
Venom
2,
3.
Kraven,
Oh, yeah.
Madam Web.
Venom 3 is the best of them.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like Venom 3, but I didn't hate it. Yeah, so the worst is Kraven. Second worst is Madam Web. Third worst is Joker 2. Fourth
worst
Yeah,
would be
the
Venom 3.
best of that list would
Yeah.
be Venom 3.
And then again, Kraven.
And then Kraven again. Never, you know what? Screw that list. Kraven number 1, Kraven number 2, Kraven number 3,
wow.
Kraven number 4.
There you go.
Go see it in
All right,
theaters
what's
right
next?
now.
Yeah. BMC says, so it's confirmed Clayface will in fact be a DCU movie, but Reeves is attached as a producer, starting to suspect the Reeves-verse will be folded into the DCU. No. Not a chance. Maybe Matt's retooling the script, and that's why it's taking forever. He has his hands in a lot of things, but those are separate.
Actually, James Gunn just addressed this the other day when he said, yeah, there was a time that I actually considered it. James said, I did consider whether we should bring the Matt Reeves Batman verse into the new DCU, but we didn't. We decided not to. So no, they're not going to be folding those into each other. And I absolutely don't think they should. I mean, if they did, hey, if anybody's going to figure out it's James Gunn and Matt Reeves, they'll figure it out. But I think it's the right move to keep that Batman separate and in its own cinematic
It
universe.
just tells you how good that movie was.
I love that
that
Batman
James
movie.
Gunn even considered it because
Love that movie so much.
And he did one thing I was gonna say is that he when he addressed the Clayface thing, he called it a DCU story. So yes, DCU, but I think when you have DCU story, it means it's not going to, the events are not going to affect the overall arching of the DCU.
Yeah,
But it's a story within it.
I honestly think it's going to be an Elseworlds thing.
I do too.
But remember, even James Gunn talked about this. Even Elseworlds is a part of the DCU.
Right.
Right? It's not the same cinematic universe, but it's under the DCU. So no, I don't expect Clayface is going to be a part of this Superman universe we're about to get. I think it's going to be its own Elseworlds thing. All right, what's next?
Lord Helmet. My opinion, fears that film and TV will become less diverse are unfounded. I mean, Gen Z is the most ethnically diverse generation ever. And 1 out of 4 of them identify as LGBTQ. Wouldn't studios be leaving billions on the table by not making content that appeals to Gen Z?
Studios will, look, it's not just studios, it's every industry. Every industry will make product geared to what they think a consumer base will be. You know, I've always said this, is that while, you know, in the great immortal words of Michael Douglas in Wall Street, Greed is good. Greed works. I mean, sometimes that's not true, but sometimes it is. Greed is a great self-corrector. Sometimes, you know, when the year 2000 was coming and everybody's worried about the 2000 bug,
Yeah.
I said, you know why I'm not worried about it? Greed. There's too many rich people that have too much money they could lose.
To just-
if
yeah.
something bad, they're going to make sure nothing goes wrong because they could lose too much money. When the studio identifies anything that will make them money, they'll go that way. Doing movies like this will make money. They'll go that way. Doing movies like that will make money. And as their target audience, like any other industry, changes and evolves as they go, you're going to see product, whether it's movies, fashion, whatever, any kind of product, will slowly start to change and evolve to follow the consumer base. So just give it time and let's see how it all evolves. All right, what's next?
Dad Joke says, "Hi, John and team. I saw the Christopher Reeve documentary, and boy, what a heavy show to watch. The part that absolutely was the final gut punch was what happened to the family after Christopher died. Did you see it? Your thoughts?"
So I didn't get a chance to see when it screened in theaters. I had to watch it at home. There are like 3 different times I wanted to weep through the movie. Also very educated. I didn't know a lot of the stuff about Robin Williams prior to this movie coming out. And when they announced the movie, I didn't know a lot about that. So if you have not seen it yet, we've talked a bunch about it on the show, but if you have not seen Super/Man yet, I remember James Gunn did a kind of an introduction for it on screen at CinemaCon last year in April. And like, he had nothing to do with the making of that movie, I don't think. And he was just like, good. Like, she's emotionally gushing over it. It's just so good. All right, what's next?
Okay, a performing artist. Hi, I'm confident that Mike Flanagan will make a kick-ass Clayface movie, but can we make a comic movie rule that you must introduce a character in its original incarnation first before you make a movie of that character out of context?
That's a horrible idea.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, but anyway, I know Hollywood would never agree to this because it's a prostitute ruled by money over art. I was looking forward to seeing Clayface's tragedy explored in a full Batman movie. If Flanagan does this movie as a prequel, then that could work.
No, listen.
That's like saying
Just
Joker
because-
1 didn't work then.
You're making an assumption that, the way it was first done, that's the best way to do it. Often it's not. That's why even comic book characters in the comic books will change their origins multiple times just in the comic books, right? Like I always say this, people don't like it, but it's the truth. The job of a filmmaker is not to make something as close to the source material as possible. The job of the filmmaker is to make the best movie possible. And like, guess who, you know what the origin of Lex Luthor was in the comic books? He got mad because he thinks Superman caused an accident that made him lose his hair. That's literally the origins of Lex Luthor in the comic books.
My hair, Superman!
That would be so fucking stupid. If we get into James Gunn's Superman and like we see David Cornsweet and who's playing Lex again?
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult are like, buddy, I love you, Superman. I love you too, Lex. Wait, I just got to do this thing. Oops, I dropped something. Oh no, it burned off your hair. Now I hate you,
follicles.
Superman. Like,
Superman.
it would be the most stupid thing in the world to do. No, there absolutely should not be a rule that says you should do that. Now, sometimes you're going to get a character where the origins actually really, really would work well in a cinematic environment. That's why most of the time, most Superman iterations have had that classic origin, all told a little bit differently, but the basic thing that he comes from this planet Krypton, that it kind of self-destroyed itself, and that the parents saw it coming. They decided to save their child by sending them to Earth, right? So you can do that. The Batman origin story. But they're even changing that in the comics now. But you know that he was with his parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne, and they were going through this crime alley, and his parents got shot, and that night the Batman was born. Absolutely. But there's a lot of characters in comic books that eventually evolved to be really great characters that had absolutely stupid origins. And so, no, I completely disagree, brother, that they should have a rule that you got to do it the way they did in the comic. No, because number one, not only is that not good business, That's not good art.
Yeah.
That's not good art.
You
Just
can't constrain by
replicating
rule.
something that was crappy to say you replicated it is not good art. So I understand there's always that constant struggle between the business of movies and the art of movies. But I just think you'd find yourself in a lot of situations where it was neither be good business nor good art to just do the way the origins were done. I just don't agree with that. But that's just me. All right. What's next?
Okay, they follow up. Hi, all. One more thing concerning Flanagan's Clayface movie. I believe he wants to do a live-action version of one of my favorite Batman, the animated series, Clayface-centric episodes, Mudslide. If that's what he has in mind, he's going to blow audiences away.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be hints of that in there. Like,
Inspiration.
yeah, because, I mean, that's what happens in almost all comic book movies, right? Like, again, Days of Future Past was nothing like the comic book story Days of Future Past, but it clearly was influenced by it. Civil War, the movie, was not nearly... Let me rephrase. Captain America Civil War was nothing like the Civil War comic book story, but clearly it took some influence from it. I think Mike Flanagan has created a story that is a horror, thriller, tragedy, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if you definitely get hints of that episode from the Batman original animated series. But if you're looking that it's just going to be a live action version of that story, they never really do that. But definitely, I think you'll get hints of that. 100%, I think you will. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, with Sarah Michelle Gellar now saying she's open to a reboot and even a sequel for Buffy, I think they should get a good story and do a movie with her. Star Trek, Downton Abbey, Sex and the City, and now even Peaky Blinders is looking to do a movie. It's got the fan base. I feel like it would have to be for streaming if you did that.
But here, I'll say this. If you could do, like, obviously starts with coming up with a great story, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
But if you could do a movie for $40 million, if you could do a movie and max the budget at $40 million, I think the audience is there for it.
For that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that movie could make money.
Yeah, you could do like $100 million.
Not $400 million at the box office, but I think that movie could make 250 million and be profitable, and then maybe do a sequel. I mean, yeah, you do it for the right budget, a small, modest budget, but not like shoestring budget, not $10 million. Like, put some money into it. A $40 million Buffy movie with the original cast back, I think that makes money. I think that becomes profitable. All right, what's next?
Duke Silver says,
Ha! I love that.
Want to feel old? No. SNL's Lazy Sunday is 20 years old. It's one of the first videos to go viral on YouTube.
Which one was Lazy Sunday?
That was the Chronicles of what? Narnia.
Oh,
was with
God, right. Man, I'll tell you what, that whole thing spawned.
Yeah.
That, like, not Lazy Island.
Lonely Island.
Lonely Island. Man, whether it's Dick in a Box, the thing about the moms, what was my favorite one?
Happy Birthday?
The Michael Bolton one.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Tale of Captain Jack Sparrow. My all-time favorite Lonely Island one, though, is Jizzed in My Pants. Jizz in my pants. It's just a great song. It's a great song. I'm on a Boat is really good. Listen, I know it's a total side note. If you guys have not seen Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping,
I haven't.
You haven't seen it?
I've never seen it.
It's so funny. It's so funny. The third act isn't as strong as the first two acts, but it's still good.
I feel like those movies fall apart at the end, but yeah.
They kind of do. But even this one still has a lot of laughs in the third act. It's such a funny movie overall. You should absolutely check it out. All right, what's next?
We got sorry. Matan says, after Kraven, do you think that Nintendo regrets hiring Avi Arad for the Zelda movie? Arad is very hands-on, and the last time he made a good decision was in 2004. Zelda is too much of a premiere of an IP for Nintendo to screw up the film.
The two greatest Spider-Man movies ever made are Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And when Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won Best Picture, guess who went up and got the award? That dude. He has made crap. He's made good stuff. It ultimately comes, but remember, the producer of the film is not there on set making the movie. They've got to get the right director and the right writers and all that kind of stuff in there. he has done that before. And if he can replicate, now listen, already look at it. He brought in a awesome director for the Legend of Zelda movie. An awesome director. So they're off on the right foot. And if they can replicate that, they'll do fine. If they get other stuff, it'll go bad. But I honestly don't think the make or break of their projects there is going to have to do with who the producer is. I don't. I'm not saying it's not an important thing. It is. But it's really going to be about the director. And they got a great director. So I'm feeling okay about that, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Hassy Boy with a $20 tip says, "Hey, John, follower since AMC days from London. I remember there was talks about that Bob Iger might be prepping Disney to be sold to a big company like Apple. Do you have any further updates on this?"
So I missed that entire thing.
Like when you know how we
read it again. Read it again. For
That they remember there's talks that Bob Iger might be prepping Disney to be sold to a big company like Apple.
Right.
Any updates?
No, none. Now, listen, I don't think a lot of people ever thought that was a serious possibility, but I mean, I know I at the time thought, look, there could be a chance. There could be a chance. And also because Disney was such a big, multifaceted thing, there's possibilities that they could have been selling off aspects, like maybe keep the park, sell the movie division. And then we said, look, Apple was all in on trying to get into the entertainment world. What better way to do it than actually just acquire an up and running operation already like Disney? Heard nothing about it since. So no, don't think that's going to happen, but it's never impossible. Because remember, the job of the executive leadership of Disney is to make as much money for the shareholders as possible. And in an offer, let's say Apple comes along and says, we'll pay $110 billion for Disney. That's something they're going to have to take to the shareholders, right? Again, I'm not saying that would happen. I'm just saying it's something they would have to consider. So I don't think anything's really developed since then. I don't really think it's going to go in that direction, but it is something to keep half an eye on. All right, what's next?
Okay, performing artist with two-parters says, "Hello, John and crew. MI8 is one of my most anticipated of 2025. I want to clarify the main three strongest contributing factors I feel Part 7 didn't make as much money. One was the death of Lisa, or Isa, or most audiences felt the movie disrespected her.
No, they did. I'm an audience member. I didn't feel they disrespected her at all. I thought that was a very moving, powerful part of the film. Anyway.
Also, those people already bought their tickets to see it.
Yeah.
The depiction of execution of AI as the villain, and then Barbenheimer. Notice I didn't say that's its sole reason. I'm a huge Cruise and McQuarrie fan. Hope they can overcome the issues. Here's to an exciting 2025.
Here's the problem. Like, none of those things you just explained would explain why it didn't do great at the box office. That just explains why some people maybe didn't like it. But those people paid the money to buy a ticket to go see it.
Right.
Right? I really quite liked Mission Impossible 7, although not the best of the Mission Impossible movies. I agree. The AI part of it was nebulous at best. I'm with you on that. I thought that was kind of a weak approach, but still, we'll see where they go with it in Final Reckoning. So I'm with you on that. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the fact that Mission Impossible has kind of, maybe, no pun intended, run its course. That maybe just a lot of the audience has just felt now like, we've watched enough of these. Maybe. So I don't know. I certainly don't think the death of what's her name's character,
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, I don't think the death of Rebecca Ferguson's character, it didn't leave the audience feeling disrespected. I've never heard anybody say that. You may have felt that way. I'm not taking that away, but as a fan of the thing myself, I didn't at all feel that was an act of disrespect to the audience. It's a story. Right? Characters should live and die and do what they do in service of the story. And I thought it was quite a moving moment. I was like, holy crap, that just happened. I thought it was a pretty good moment, but at any rate, that aside, the reality though is it might be, people might be getting cruised out. Maybe. I mean, listen, it's hard to wrap our heads around. Tom Cruise is in his 60s. Right? He's it's hard to still do it. And he's finally, my God, I hope I look that good when I'm in my 60s. He's finally starting to age. You're starting to see it a little bit now, finally. And I think we're not far away from Tom Cruise moving on to doing like Oscar caliber kind of roles and things like that. Or he's a great actor.
Or he's going to space, like he said.
Well, yeah, he's still got to do his space movie, and he's still got to do MIA. He's still got a bunch of things lined up.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of good explanations as to why to MI. And listen, compared to a lot of movies, MI7 made a ton of money. Didn't it make it into the 400 million? Can you double check that?
No, it's 570.
It made well over $500 million.
Yeah, it was about 100 under Rogue Nation.
So yeah, compared to other MI8 films, maybe not the best, but
you can't.
How many movies make over $500 million?
You can't compare.
Not many.
You can't compare it to Fallout, which made the most at like 790 or whatever, because that was at it. That was like the upward trajectory in its peak. So you can't expect it necessarily that it was going to do that or more, but. It would have been nice if it had at least done like Rogue Nation at 100 million more.
See, that's the thing. A lot of people think that, oh, the Mission Impossible movies, they all make billions of dollars. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think a single Mission Impossible, not one Mission Impossible movie.
Something was its highest ever.
Yeah. So it's like some people think it's like Marvel or whatever. And I remember we had these conversations when it came out. A lot of people just think, oh, well, a couple of Mission Impossible movies made over $1 billion, right?
No.
No, none of them did. None of the Mission Impossible
then the
movies made over $1
sixes,
billion.
fives, and then the highest in the sevens.
So like, Mission Impossible 7 making in the high 500s, like making well over $500 million. That's not bad. But that being said, the other thing about it too, and we talked about this at the time when it came out, putting part 1 in the title was probably not a smart move.
Yeah.
Because it almost communicates to the audience, you're not getting the full movie.
You're in for 2 if you want the whole.
Yeah, you're not getting the full movie. That's why they've changed the name of the movie. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is no longer the name of that movie. The official name of that movie is now Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. And the name of the next movie is not Dead Reckoning Part 2. It's now Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, look, I think like you said, there's not a single sword stab that killed this thing. It still made over $500 million, but I think it was a number of different elements that kind of came together that tempered its box office. Again, remember, we're talking about a movie that made over $570 million at the box office.
And
it tempered it a bit.
And it really cannot be under like estimated that this was at a time where audiences had not been coming back in full force yet. Barbenheimer happened, and it was so significant because since the pandemic, that nothing like that had happened. So, you know.
All right, what's next?
Don Juan says, here's my 2 cents that I'm in agreement with Rotten Tomatoes audience score of 71%, that I liked Kraven. It was fun, funny action movie, my 3rd best movie of the year under Deadpool and Wolverine and Gladiator 2.
And
so he's in that minority, but he's there.
That's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing about movies, man, is that it's art, and art hits us all in different ways. And just because I hated that movie doesn't mean you need to hate it at all. All of our experiences with art is unique to ourselves. And if you liked it, and that's great. What is interesting, though, is the conflict between the Rotten Tomatoes audience score and the cinema score. Because the cinema score for a comic book movie is extremely low. It's not often you see a C or lower in a cinema score. Like a bad thing is like B-. C is extremely low. So why cinema score, which again asks audiences as they're coming out of the movie theaters, is as low as a C, and why Rotten Tomatoes is showing almost 7 out of 10 audience members, at least the ones that responded, said they liked it, is very, very odd. I don't have an explanation for it. I'm not offering any explanation for it, but it's really weird. Like, it's fine when you have the critic score and audience scores are different. That's fine. But normally you don't see that big of a disparity between the cinema score and the RT audience score. And I am wondering why there's such a disparity there. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. I don't have an answer. All right, what's next?
The Borb says, hey, crew, I think I'm tapping out on Dune Prophecy. I've waited literally decades for a proper telling of Dune. The new movies are incredible. This show pales in comparison. It feels small and like a glorified CW show, especially most of the cast.
I haven't given up on it yet, but I'm not counting down to the next episodes. As a matter of fact, last night I was getting ready to go to bed. It's like, oh yeah, there was a new Dune episode dropped tonight. If we were talking about Last of Us or Skeleton Crew
Right.
or Shogun or something, like, it'd be like, oh, I was about to go to bed, but I forgot there's a new episode. I'm gonna go watch it. And then I was like, eh. I mean, I'm gonna watch the new episode, but I'm just not excited about the show anymore. The second episode was pretty good, but it has been. I don't think it's been terrible. It's just been wanting.
I just kind of want to binge it. I don't want to have to wait week to week on it.
I don't think I could binge it, to be honest with you. So it's very all right. I mean, there's
Very
definitely
all
some
right.
artistry in the show. There definitely is. And some very good performances, actually. The acting in it's quite good. But you're right. This show pales in comparison to the movies. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, what's next?
Forbidden says, finally saw Joker 2, WTF, Joker. Felt like they were just making... Joker got diddied. Oh, that's what they're saying. Felt like they were just making things up as they went along just to get to the specific ending. Having said that, still look forward to see what Gunn and Reeves are cooking up next.
Yeah, listen. From the moment they announced Joker 2, two things were clear. Number one, I said I was very excited about because I love the first Joker. But number two, I said it's not going to make nearly as much money as the first Joker. Right? The novelty's worn off. And number two, while I love Joker and it got nominated for some Academy Awards, Best Picture, there was a lot of people who didn't like it. So I didn't think it was going to make a ton of money. But I was shocked how bad that movie was. I was so excited for it. I was so enthusiastic about it. And to this day, I have no explanation for what went wrong. I mean, that movie's just garbage. Not as bad as Kraven, mind you. But yeah, it's just a terrible, terrible film. All right, what's next?
The Tick says, I feel like there's a narrative emerging calling 2024 the worst year of Hollywood movies. I disagree. Did you forget that there were strikes last year and lingering pandemic issues? Flops, bad movies may have stood out more, but no more than any other year.
All you got to do is go look up the Critics' Choice Award nominations, even the frickin' Golden Globe nominations. All you got to do is go over there and say there were some awesome movies this year. And after we got past like April, and we had like the big disappointments, the box office disappointments with Fall Guy, which was a really good movie, but did horribly. Furiosa, Mad Max story, which was a great movie, but totally flopped at the box office. Once you got past that though, we've had a lot of surprise hits over like during the course of the year. I mean,
this year stuck the landing too.
What's that?
I think this year stuck the landing too.
What do you mean?
In terms of quality for movies of this last month and a half of the year?
Oh yeah, we've had some great ones come out. Like it's true when you get into Oscar season. So I feel like every year as we get into November and December, we get a lot of people saying this was the worst movie in years. No, it really wasn't. And I get it with this year too, especially still dealing with the after effects of the pandemic. Obviously still wrestling with the effects. People still don't really understand the depth of the effects and how deep the damage was done by the strikes.
Right.
Not saying that they didn't need to happen. I'm just saying the damage done by it is almost incalculable. And yet still, once you got past April, it really turned around. You ended up with some massive hits, and some fabulous films. Like a lot of great films this year. So there's that too. All right, what's next?
New York lawyer Nick says, my fiance and I recently watched Captain Fantastic on Max. Wow, what an incredible film. Can't believe it flew under my radar for so long.
That's the
Elton
Aragorn.
John.
Yeah. Viggo
Mortensen's movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or Captain Fantastic. No, you're right.
Yeah. That was actually cool. Very different kind of. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. I was thinking the Elton John one. Can't believe it flew under my radar for so long. Looked it up afterwards to see if it got any Oscar attention. Turns out Viggo Mortensen got a Best Actor nod. Yeah, that was a cool little film.
Wait a minute. Did he get a Best Actor nod at the Oscars?
He did.
Okay, yeah. It was a really, but you know what? Very little promotion.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it got a full wide release.
Very low budget too.
But because it was Viggo Mortensen, I checked it out. Again, not the kind of movie I thought it was going to be. You know what the whole movie kind of remind? Did you see Venom 3?
Didn't see Venom 3, but I saw Captain Fantastic.
Okay, but you didn't see. Okay, so it's hard for those of you watching. There's a scene in Venom 3 where there's like a family in a minivan that kind of reminded me a little bit about Captain.
With him and his kids, yeah.
Yeah, very good movie. Excellent movie. Not one that we talk about a lot or comes up a bunch. But it was a solid film. All right, what's next?
We got the Milkmen podcast. Says, hey guys, the first poster for Superman released today. I couldn't be more excited. They even released a motion poster, yeah, which I think teases the theme. James Gunn was the hierarchy of power that changed. By the way, Sonic 3 week. I'm seeing it Friday, Sonic 3.
Yeah, I'm seeing Sonic and Mufasa on Thursday. Really excited. Yeah, the poster's great. And the motion poster is beautiful. Because it's just that poster, just the colors in the background,
Yeah.
kind of making it, giving the
Right.
feel that he's soaring through the air. And that music that's playing with it is great. Again, none of that means the movie will be good. But just talking about the poster and just talking about that music, I couldn't be happier with it. I just think it's beautiful. And I cannot wait to see this trailer. It better not suck. It better not suck. All right, what's next?
All right, Pacific Rim Job Fair. See, it seems like it's going to be bad, but it's job fair.
Yeah.
All I want for Christmas is a Reacher and the Littlest Hobo crossover starring the dogs from John Wick 3 and 4. Maybe tomorrow someone will write it down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep dreaming.
That's from the theme song. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep. Yeah. Anyway, Ann and I were on a trip this past year somewhere, and I remember we're kind of crashing out for the night. Turned on the TV, and John Wick 3 was on. Oh, which one was? Yeah, John Wick 3 is the one that with Halle Berry,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And the two
And
dogs.
it's like they need to continue. They need to continue. I think there was a plan to have a spin-off movie of her with her dog.
yeah, that's what it's
And
surprised.
then it kind of disappeared after
Yeah,
that.
it kind of surprised me they went with the ballerina route, and then
Yeah.
what happened to her?
I would have been totally down for that spin-off movie. I really would. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm very excited for Ballerina. Anna de Armas is going to kill it in this. If her appearance in the James Bond movie is any indication, she's going to kill it in the John Wick universe. But I always kind of wondered why that one with
Ooh.
Halle Berry didn't happen.
You know what they have to do now?
What's that?
They've got to do a crossover with the Holly Berry with her dogs, and then the dude from Part 4 with his dog.
There you go. They team
There you
up.
go.
Yep.
John Wick's always about dogs, man.
Yeah.
Always about dogs. All right, what's next?
The house that Peter built. Hi, John. I've recently been introduced to the more toxic side of the Superman fandom. Runaway. Via Twitter. Runaway. Any chance Gunn can win these people over with an amazing film, or is it a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of a situation? Thanks and love.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't going into it. But here's the thing. Like, remember when Barbie was about to come out?
Yeah.
And like everybody, blah, blah, whoa, girl power, blah, whoa, blah. And then, David Shapiro, or whatever his name is. What's the guy?
Ben Shapiro?
Ben Shapiro. Again, I can't say any, by the way, I'm not saying anything negative about Ben Shapiro because I've never watched a single thing of him. The only thing I saw was when he went on and said, oh yeah, this Barbie movie's going to flop.
Yeah, real flop.
It's going to have a big opening weekend and it's going to have the biggest drop off in film history and no one's going to go see this movie. But what happened? Winning cures everything, right? So Barbie comes out, it wins over the world, becomes the #1 box office movie of the year, and then everybody stopped chirping. Nobody talks about it anymore
Right.
because it won. So it just silenced everybody. Now, if Barbie had failed, it would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it didn't fail. It won. It literally won. And that quieted everybody. That quiets everything. Nothing cures everything like winning. If Superman comes out and it's great, but that's the key, right? It's got to be great. If it comes out and it's great, I think there are going to be a lot of people. Like, listen, there's been a lot of movies that I thought looked like they'd be stupid. And then I see and go, wow, you know what? That was awesome. And it wins me over. I think that will be a part of it. I think #1, there's going to be people, if the movie is great, and we don't know that it will be, but if it's great, it's going to win a lot of those people over. And then the people it doesn't win over, if it's truly successful and everybody is enjoying it and loves it, it'll just quiet those people down. That's kind of what happens. That's the pattern with Hollywood going back decades. So winning cures everything, but it's got to be great. So nothing's going to win them over before the movie comes out. That's for sure. Like, there are people who just don't think the Snyderverse should have ever ended. And nothing you can say to them right now is going to change their mind. That's fair. That's fair. But once the movie comes out, hopefully it'll be good enough to win them over. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe I'll think it sucks. After all, I had some degree of faith in Kraven. And look how that turned out. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, what's next?
Be cool, Yolanda says, I saw the re-release of Interstellar in IMAX this weekend. It's the absolute definitive way to experience the film. I knew it was making money, but it made my heart happy to see the theater packed. What are your thoughts on the success of the re-release? It's over 21 million now worldwide.
I wasn't like 31 million worldwide.
Well, that they adjusted it and we went down to 16 and now it's up to 21.
Okay, so which is unheard of. I mean, very, very, very rare for a re-release. I think it's fabulous. Now, don't be confused on thinking that means just release any old movie and it'll make it won't. That's not what happened with Interstellar is an outlier. That's not something that happens often, but it's fantastic. It speaks to the popularity and the endurance of not just Christopher Nolan himself, but also of that movie specifically.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, there are just some movies that if you're going to get it, feel it the right way, it's to see it in IMAX. And that's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
We got that down in human form. Hi, John and gang. Since Null got killed off screen in Thor, God and Thunder, what excuse can they use to bring him in MCU and not that different Null multiverse crap? That is lazy writing. Null got killed in Thor or in Venom?
No, wasn't in Thor.
Yeah. He had the sword. What's his name? Got the
Gore. Gore
had
has
the
a sword, but
which
they never made any connection in the movie that the Necrosword came from Null in the MCU. So they unless I missed something, they never said Null was killed in that movie.
Yeah, not that I recall.
That's still a totally open chapter. That's still a total open possibility. You know, if Sony and Marvel can make a deal on it somewhere down the line, if they want to do that, that's still something that'll be on the books for them. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, did you watch Dexter Original Sin? I thought it was a great first episode.
Again, I was just saying, did it start yet? I didn't know it started. Again, I don't generally like prequels, but there are exceptions. Obviously, there are some exceptions. But I am going to check this one out. I mean, I love Christian Slater. I think Christian Slater as Harry is a really cool idea. I think the kid looks great as a younger Dexter. The fact that Sarah Michelle Gellar's in there, I'm definitely going to check it out, but I haven't checked. I didn't even know it dropped yet. So I'm going to check it out and I'll see how it goes. All right, what's next?
Mike says, happy Monday, John and crew. Watched Home Alone this weekend and realized both Home Alone and Goodfellas came out in 1990.
Wow.
To which Joe Pesci won his Oscar for. When he passed, which do you think, or when he passes, which do you think he will be remembered for most? Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animals. Probably more his mobster films.
I think
because he's done more of them.
Yeah. I think yes, absolutely is one of the Wet Bandits in the Home Alone stuff. Total classic. But when you think, I think most people, when you think of Joe Pesci, you think of
Casino and Goodfellas. Yeah.
I mean, he's just so great in both of those movies. He's awesome. So
I liked him in Lethal Weapon, the Lethal Weapon movies.
Oh,
too.
I loved him in Lethal Weapon.
So annoying.
He's great in everything.
Yeah.
It was really cool. He's been away for a long time. It was like one of the great things about The Irishman was just seeing him back.
Right.
Seeing him back in The Irishman was great too. But yeah, I think it'll be those more than, even though a lot of people still think of the Home Alone stuff, I think really the one they'll think of is in those gangster roles.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
It's clobbering time. Says Fandango surveyed over 9,000 ticket buyers for the most anticipated films of 2025. Captain America 4 Brave New World topped the list. Fantastic Four First Steps was at number 5 and Superman at number 9. No sign of superhero fatigue.
Again, I've always said there is no such thing as superhero fatigue. There's mediocrity fatigue.
Yep.
People got tired of mediocre shit. And when you make good shit, look at that. Deadpool and Wolverine made $1.3 billion. It's just what happens. It's very interesting to see that what place did Captain America come in? Number 1?
1.
That's interesting.
Just this weekend, I was like, boy, I hope this thing doesn't flop.
Well, I know it won't flop. Like Captain America will not flop, but I don't expect it to do great. Like I think it'll do okay. I think it'll be, but number 1, really? I mean, in my opinion, the trailers have been quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And having Harrison Ford pop up as Red Hulk, I think has got some people excited. Maybe even some non-comic book movie fans excited. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But that's a really interesting thing. I got to look that up.
I Am Justice says, is there a movie you can think of where an actor had a small role, but it elevated the film? For me, it's John Candy in Home Alone.
A movie where an actor had a small role.
I could tell you a recent one, and it surprised me, was Marlon Wayans in Air. He had that one role. He was in the bar, and he was kind of an inciting incident with that conversation, with that note, that letter that he had.
That's a very good example of that.
And it's the only scene he's in.
Another one to me, it sounds weird because she actually won an Academy Award for it, but Dame Judi Dench in Shakespeare in Love,
Oh yeah.
right? She actually won a, but she's only in it for literally a couple of
I know.
minutes. She's literally only in that film for a couple of minutes, which is by definition a supporting role, I suppose. But her impact in that film is huge.
You know, mine is Diego Luna in The Terminal.
There you go.
Did that really make the movie for you?
Yeah, because he had a sweet little romance with Zoe Saldana. You know, if you actually watch the movie and appreciate
With the proper
all
eyes.
the aspects,
Appreciate that movie.
there wasn't just one relationship. There were multi-relationships in such a small area. Appreciate it. Terminal, baby. Check it out.
All
In
right.
theaters now.
What's next?
Anonymous says, hello, do you think the Star Wars sequels would be viewed favorably by young Gen Zers as young millennials, me, did with the prequels? Yeah, they're flawed, but there's a charm to them. But considering the generation difference of post-social media, I don't know.
Hard to say. I mean, listen, to me, the Star Wars prequels are some of the hottest garbage that ever came out of Hollywood. Like, they are absolutely puke fuck. I mean, it's just, the prequels are absolute drivel. The sequels
Puke.
ended on that absolute drivel with The Rise of Skywalker,
Who's that,
in
a
my
stripper?
opinion. But a lot of people like the first one.
stripper name.
Like, a lot of people like The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I like The Force Awakens.
So yes, I think there's going to be a lot of people in the future, like maybe 15 years from now, people revisit that. I don't know that anybody's going to like Rise of Skywalker. That movie was terrible, but they might. But again, listen, there are people today who try to rewrite history. It's like, actually, you know what? The prequels weren't that bad. Yes, they fucking were. They were fucking that bad. Those movies were literally so bad. They had people, there's news footage, people coming out of the movie theater dressed as Jedis, taking off their Jedi robes and setting fire to them in the streets. It actually created a movement of people making documentaries like The People versus George Lucas and a lot of others about how now Star Wars is dead to me now. It really was that bad. And they really are that
Do you
terrible.
remember the end of Fanboys? I thought it was such a great, because
Fanboys is so great.
I
Our
know.
friend Kyle Newman made that movie. I love
but
that
I
movie.
always loved that line was like, it kind of sucked, didn't it? Sitting in the theater.
By the way, if you guys haven't seen Kyle Newman's movie Fanboys, you definitely should. If you want to get a kind of a rounder picture to Star Wars fandom, Fanboys is a great movie to get that. So considering now people try to look back at those horrible pieces of sewage rat, like in some kind of positive light, who knows how they're going to look at Rise of Skywalker 15 years from now. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all 15 years from now saying, you know what? Rise of Skywalker was an underappreciated cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah. There's some revisionist history going on. It's like, no, but you don't understand. For our generation, we loved it. I'm like, yeah, well, you saw it as a kid, but I mean, really analyze those films. They don't.
But again, all art's subjective. It hits
Yeah.
everybody in different ways. And again, if somebody loves the prequels, good on you. I mean, that's great. I mean, I will never, but that's fine. We're all allowed to like what we like and don't like what we don't like. All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, watch Dan Murrell's show today on the charts. He said there's reports that Sony exaggerated Kraven's box office numbers, and when the actuals come out today, it could be 10 million or less. I decided against seeing and got heartburn instead. Got a McRib. Oof.
Oh, McRib, baby, it's back.
So here's the thing. I did a video a while ago on how box office reporting happens. Places like Box Office Mojo and the numbers and stuff like that, they do not get their numbers from the studio. There is actually a central company that runs and gathers all the data for the box office. And then they release their reports. It's a third-party independent company. Again, I'll try to leave a link if I remember to do it maybe we'll drop a link. Remind me to do this, Ray. Let's drop a link to this video in the description of this show a little bit later. So if you're watching this later, you can go down. But I made this full editorial video on how box office reporting happens. And it doesn't come from the studio. It doesn't come from the studio. Now, again, there's always a difference. Like 99% of the time, it's a very, very tiny difference. But remember, the box office numbers come out on Sunday. Those are the projected. Then sometime later on Monday or Tuesday, when the final quarters and dimes and nickels are counted, then what's called the actuals come out. And 99% of the time, they're within like 0.5% of what the projection numbers were on Sunday. So that's why you just usually go with the Sunday numbers. But it's not because Sony reported it.
Yeah, it's not
because it comes from this third-party company that's not associated with the studios. So there's that. But yeah, sometimes there will be differences. It'll be a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower. And yeah, there's that. All right, what's next? And by the way, if you guys are really into box office stuff, you absolutely should check out Dan Murrell's box office report stuff. He does a really, really great job of those. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous who says, who would have thought a new movie recommendation for this weekend would be a Netflix movie? Carry On with Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman, currently sitting at 88% on Rotten Tomatoes with 40 reviews as of this writing.
Every once in a while. Now, I haven't seen the movie myself yet, but every once in a while, like 99% of Netflix's original movies suck ass. But every once in a while, you get a Roma, you get The Irishman, you get Old Guard. I like Old Guard. I don't care what anybody says. I like that movie. And maybe Carry On is going to be one of those next ones. That's really good. I hope it is. All right, what's next?
Lost my place here. Anonymous says, just read a thing about Buffy in the comics. She gets stronger powers as she gets older. It's currently owned by Disney as well. Crazy idea, I know, but imagine Blade and Buffy team up. LOL, I can dream. It would be funny though.
Yeah. It would be a funny Saturday Night Live skit, but it would piss everybody off. The people who are looking forward to a Blade movie want Blade, and they want R, and they want a lot of, and the audience that remembers Buffy fondly, I don't think they're looking for that. So great Saturday Night Live skit, but I don't think they would ever actually do it because I don't think it would please anybody. All right, what's next?
I'll take anything at this point.
Your name, was a two-parter, says, I'm loving Skeleton Crew, especially after episode 3. As soon as Jod tells the kids not to leave without him, Fern makes that suggestion after he leaves. Neil's stomach growling, the kids falling asleep after denying they're tired. At which episode would you need to see to believe Skeleton Crew is not another Book of Boba Fett?
Episode 4. Yep. I mean, like right now, I am loving it, but I've had too many of these Star Wars shows start strong and then go to crap.
Yeah.
So I am loving Skeleton Crew so far. I think if episode 4 comes out, it doesn't need to be the best yet, but if episode 4 comes out and it's like on par with what the previous 3 episodes are, I'll then buy in. I'll say, you know what? Yeah, this isn't going to be another Obi-Wan. This isn't going to be another Book of Boba Fett. This isn't going to be another Ahsoka. This isn't going to be another, whatever else. This one's good. And if episode 4 delivers like the first 3 have, I'll totally be on board. All right, what's next?
Last one, we got Eric Molina who says, do you think Nicholas Hoult will be a great Lex Luthor? I love how James Gunn explained his version of Lex is menacing. Superman is effed is what he says.
Listen.
Yes,
Nicholas
he can
Hoult,
play a villain.
Nicholas Hoult is a great actor. He's a great actor. And so do I think he can be a great Lex Luthor? He's a great actor. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Now, it's going to be, can James Gunn write a great Lex Luthor? Because you can have a great actor, but if it's not written the right way, so that'll be the question. Now, I have all the faith in the world in James Gunn. I am an unabashed, totally admitted big James Gunn fan. But I'm a big James Gunn fan. I don't think James Gunn's stuff is good because I like James Gunn. I like James Gunn because I think all of his stuff is really good. Right? That's what makes me a James Gunn fan. I have loved his content. And so I have all the belief in the world of him, but again, little apprehensive because everybody has a bad day at the office. Hopefully Superman won't be that. But yes, I think he will be a great Lex Luthor if everything else lines up.
What a horrible first day is your worst day at the office.
Especially on this one. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow for the next episode of our show. Also, any of you guys are sports fans? Check out our sports YouTube channel called Filthy Sports. We got the next episode of our podcast coming up tonight, so keep your guys' eyes open for that. Anyway, for the guys in the room with me, Ray Ora.
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.